Move the fuck, you dumb people. Move! This is all of my area. The gang is big, I know. Well, it stops. The territory stops here basically, and it stops. The territory stops here. The territory stops here pretty much. I don't own that building, like I said before. I only own the neighborhood around here, the housing commission area. So yeah, I only own this neighborhood, this whole neighborhood area in Brisbane City. So yeah, basically, you know. Well, I guess I own one high-rise building. It's that one. I didn't own the shops. I own this part here. But I will take over the shop soon. There's this gang in there, and apparently whoever goes in the shops never come out. Even customers never come out. The gang kill them or whatever they do. So yeah. I'm not scared of nothing, I'm a god for fuck's sake. But I have this strange feeling not to go in there. It's telling me to stay away from that building. So I will just do that. If my god's powers tell me to stay away from that, then it must be fucking pretty fucking bad what's in there with the gang. So yeah, there's no way in hell I'll be going in there, cunt. If my god senses are going off and it's telling me to stay away from that building, then yeah, basically I won't take that over. I'll just leave it as it is, basically. So yeah, pretty much, you know, I own this whole neighborhood. Even that factory up there, pretty much. Even this middle school here. The factory up here I own. I own the whole Towie block. The whole Towie neighborhood. In the housing commission area in Brisbane. So yeah, you know, I'm basically a kingpin, because not a kingpin, but you know what I mean. That area I don't own.
Nice ride and stuff.
The bathrooms at the rec center, they're the best. That's the truth.
I'm gonna wait till this guy goes, like fully. Let's have a joint while we wait. Good, he's going. You have 3 seconds to get the fuck out of here, homeless. 1, 2, 3. Get up. Get up. Stupid homeless. You're just a parasite to the society. Sell the tater for me, bitch. Sell the tater for me. Get the fuck out of here, you stupid ambulance! The feds wouldn't dare to step foot in this territory. Because they know if they do, they'll be fucked. We would win. We have armor vehicles, turrets on the cars. We have helicopters. We have jets. Well, the fucking stupid feds just have normal vehicles and normal police helicopters. So the fucking feds would know who would win in the fight. We would win. The gang would win. That's why the feds were not too afraid to step foot in the territory. At least they will get shot at.
What if, like, smoking lettuce got too high? Who would know?
Stupid hippies. I hate hippies also.
Asshole.
Say all the Satan for me, stupid hippies. Huh. 3, 2, 1, go. Stupid fucking hipsters. The other parasite on earth. Christians too are fucking parasites. Homeless Christians, hippies, vegans, feminists, lesbians, gays, transvestites.
Stay calm. I can save you.
Get the fuck out of here. You stupid motherfucker. You should have just fucked off. But you want to be a big dumb
There's something
hero.
else about her that just stole my breath.
Well,
Perhaps it was the way she smiled.
as you can already
The way
tell,
she tossed her long
hero
hair.
dies
One way or another,
in
I
the
was smitten.
story.
I was amazed by her. And I tried
There
talking to her
is
before she
no
actually was dancing.
heroes.
Usually the dancers don't allow clients to waste too much time talking.
There
Since
is
I paid
gods,
they
but
reluctantly
gods
accepted.
do not give a shit about mindless
I asked her to dance for her
humans.
and paid her fee. She was far better than all the others in that club, and in any other I had visited. She was so good that I gave her a big tip and asked her for another
Why
dance.
would we give a shit about
I think I
fucking
must have paid
stupid
for 6 or 7
humans?
dances that night and used up all the money I had brought with me that night. I couldn't get enough of her. I started going to the club almost every single
So
night.
yeah,
I
pretty
couldn't
much,
get enough
you
of
know.
beautiful Lily. When she wasn't around, I'd mope around a bit at first. As the weeks went by, I decided that I would only go when she was there. So I asked for her schedule. She was a bit hesitant to give it to me at first, and I
Fall in love with Hungry Jack's fried chicken burgers. Big, crunchy, juicy chicken.
Fuck off.
Jack's fried chicken. Pick up or get delivery at Hungry Jack's. The burgers are better.
and I can't blame her. I bet there are a lot of creeps who stalked her or bothered her when she was there. Eventually, I earned her trust, and she decided I was alright. So she let me know what night I couldn't deal with her work any longer. She got super upset. But
I was sitting in history class thinking of what to do to get my teacher to stop talking about, well, history. Like, I'm sorry, why would I want to know about Alexander Hamilton when I could be playing basketball right outside this classroom? If you like this video, remember to hit that like button and turn on post notifications so you never miss another insane story. I tapped the girl in front of me on the shoulder and a wink told her what I wanted. She ripped a few pages out of her notebook and handed them to me with a smile. I opened my bag without my teacher seeing me. If he had seen me, he would have immediately known what I was up to. I ripped the paper into little bits, and soon enough I was shooting little goopy paper balls, not at my teacher, but at the ceiling right above him. I then asked for permission to go to the bathroom. He handed me my hall pass, but before I left, I gave the wall a little punch, which shook the ceiling above, and the paper balls rained down, getting stuck to my teacher's bald head. The class erupted in laughter as I ran out of the classroom before my teacher could get me for what I did. I did stuff like this in pretty much every class. Sometimes it was pretending to be dumb, sometimes it was the classic paper plane, and sometimes it was playing an obnoxiously loud video on the smartboard. I only got into real trouble once, and when I did, My entire class protested to get me out of detention, saying the teacher had no need to be so rude when he told me off. I was pretty much golden at school, not having to put in any effort and just passing my classes. I never thought it would all catch up to me, until it finally did. I heard my name being called on the intercom.
Jason B., please report to the principal's office immediately.
Rang through the halls. Everyone turned to look at me, some just about ready to come with and defend my honor. I walked into the colorful office our principal worked from and sat down in one of the chairs in front of us.
Jason, it's about time you start worrying about your academic future.
She said.
Not to toot my own horn, but this is a pretty great school. The vast majority of our students pass their classes with flying colors, and you're way below average. We're gonna have to ask you to switch schools, honey.
I was shocked. They were kicking me out to improve the school's average grades. I didn't know if I should feel worried or insulted, so I chose something in between. The principal told me it would take endless hours to catch up to the lowest grade they would let me stay with. God, I really didn't want to switch schools, or tell my parents about this, but I also didn't want it to work. I had to figure something out, and quickly. That weekend, I was helping out my dad at one of his open houses. He was getting a shipment of rented furniture to make it look more cozy for possible buyers, so he needed me to help him put everything where it belongs.
So, how's it going with school, kid?
He asked when we were done. It's going, I guess, I replied. He knew I was never great at school, but he didn't know I was at risk of expulsion.
Do you have a lot of homework, or do you have time for one more stop?
He asked next. I told him I was always down to spend time not doing homework, and then we hopped back in the car and he drove a few minutes out of the city. He parked in front of this huge abandoned warehouse. It was absolutely massive. There were broken windows and doors everywhere, which we had to clean up.
God, I don't know how I'm ever going to sell this place.
My dad sighed. He said it had been on the market for ages, with not a single interested person. As I looked around, an idea started forming in my head. This place had a lot of potential. Big open spaces, concrete walls and floors, random slabs of concrete that would work as tables or chairs. This right here could be the greatest party spot in town, and maybe a party was just what I needed. You see, everyone in my class was stressed as hell for this huge exam we had coming up. I figured that all I needed was to distract all these nerds and keep them from studying. If they put in the same amount of effort I did, there was no way they still aced the exam, right? I spread the word at school that I was throwing a huge party. I told people to invite friends, friends of friends, and friends of friends of friends. No one in my class, maybe not even in my school, threw parties. They were all a bunch of nerds. A cousin of mine hooked me up with some lighting and speakers. Plus I got some chips and soda, and I was ready for everyone to show up in the warehouse out of town that we would never get caught in. I waited and waited, but it was getting kind of late and nobody was there yet. Was I just wasting my time? Did these kids really ditch the first party in their high school career to study? Then, in the distance, I saw lights approaching. Tons and tons of lights. Over a dozen cars parked in front of the warehouse.
We read online that it's cool to be fashionably late.
Said the first girl to get out of a car. Damn, these nerds even study parties. People poured out of the cars, and soon the huge warehouse was absolutely full of people. Everyone was dancing, or at least trying to. The music was so loud, you couldn't hear yourself think. In fewer words, it was awesome. I have no idea what time I got home that night, but I slept the entire day and went to school the day after not having studied a single thing. It was me, my blue pen, and an energy drink against the world. The halls were filled with panicked people. They were all cramming the material last minute. But if there's anything worse than cramming, it's panicked cramming. None of that info sticks. I swear I heard more than one little sob in the still classroom while we took the exam. When people spilled out of the room, I was surprised. They were all laughing. Some were laughing hysterically. The first failure effect. When you fail something so badly that it's quite literally laughable. I've been there. When everyone saw me, they flocked to asking when the next party was. If I kept this thing up until the end of the year, I could lower their grades so much that mine were almost good in comparison. When we got our exams back, I didn't even have the lowest score. But I did realize there was one problem. One tiny thing I failed to consider. Derek. Derek was a textbook nerd. Bowl cut, little bow tie, and thick-rimmed glasses. He was the top of the class, and my one obstacle, now that I had everyone else addicted to partying and having fun. I couldn't even have fun at the parties now, though, because these kids were going wild. They started dropping bottles all over the place to calculate the velocity at which they hit the ground or something. And one of the idiots forgot later and tried to do the worm on the floor that I hadn't had the chance to clean up yet. Don't worry, he was fine. They managed to grab him right before he hit the floor, but he didn't get why they stopped him and got all angry. The kid then ran out of the warehouse and plunged into the river. Everyone went looking for him, which was cool because it gave me some time to be everyone's maid and clean up the glass. But then they wanted to make a fire. In the middle of the warehouse, the kid somehow managed to grab this huge fish from the river, and after everyone inspected it, decided that it was not, in fact, poisonous in any way. They went back to their roots as cavemen and decided to cook it. Now, imagine a bunch of excited and sweaty teenagers staring hungrily into the flames, waiting for a fish to cook. I thought I was losing my mind. I had created monsters, and I had to clean up after them. Even remembering it gives me a headache. I would much rather think about Derek, even though that gives me a headache too. After some careful observation from afar, I discovered that Derek was a huge mama's boy. She bought all his clothes, she cut his hair at home, and she sat down with him while he did homework. She was a college professor and had been top of her class all throughout her youth. Okay, maybe my observation became a tad stalkerish in the end, but it was all for the cause. I was willing to put all the effort in the world into avoiding putting effort in school. "Hey, Derek, buddy," I said, running up to the kid and throwing an arm over his shoulders. "I haven't seen you at my parties, pal. What's up with that?" I asked. He sort of panicked when I approached. He started muttering something about his mom not letting him go to parties, that she said they ruin your life and that teenagers were monsters. "Nonsense. Why don't I pick you up tonight and bring you as my guest of honor, bud?" I suggested with my most charming smile.
I actually have horse riding lessons tomorrow morning, so I must be in bed by 8 o'clock.
He started to drone on before I interrupted him and told him I'd pick him up at 10. He protested, but I patted his back and went to talk to other people. I was sitting in my car outside Derek's house at 10 o'clock sharp that night, but the lights were off. I beeped my horn a couple times, but nothing. I finally decided to get out and go knock on Derek's window. It was thankfully on the ground floor. I knocked a few times and he jolted awake. I waved and smiled as he rubbed his eyes and came up to the open window. The second it was open, I climbed inside.
What are you doing here? It's past my bedtime.
He said. "I told you I was picking you up at 10. Chop chop, get dressed," I replied. Then there was a soft knock on the door.
Derek? Sweetie? Did you have a nightmare? Why are you awake?
Asked his mom through the door.
Yes, I did, Mother. I'm going back to sleep now.
He responded. He started pushing me to the window, but I couldn't let him continue being a fantastic student. "You think I'm gonna let my best friend waste his Friday night like this?" I whispered to him. He stopped pushing me and his eyes went wide.
I'm your best friend?
He asked. I swear, his lip quivered a little. "Yes, now get dressed, bestie," I whispered back. He got dressed at record speed, but he knocked over a stack of books. His mom suddenly opened the door and her face went sour when she saw a second teenage boy in her son's bedroom way past his bedtime.
You stay away from my boy.
She shouted as she lunged at me. I swerved her just in time and motioned at Derek to climb out the window. His mom ran after me through the house. I managed to run circles around their kitchen island while she chased after me. I was having fun with this crazy lady shouting all sorts of stuff at me, but I drew the line when she started reaching for kitchen utensils. I was not about to get stabbed for Derek. I ran out the front door with her still hot on my tail. "Get in, get in, get in!" I shouted at Derek when I got close to my car. I locked the doors just before she tried to open Derek's door and sped right out of there.
That
Derek said while panting.
was the most fun I've ever had in my entire life.
The kid smiled. I told him the fun was just starting. I had no idea Derek would be such a party animal. By the end of the night, people were carrying him on top of the crowd and chanting his name. The kid was in heaven. I was having a blast too, for once, until red and blue lights started flashing and sirens approached.
The first one, got
I
it!
grabbed Derek and we sped out of there in my car. I saw that some kids were being shoved into the back of cop cars, but somehow they still looked happy. They were still having the time of their lives, though to be honest, I'd be crying. Derek and I woke up around noon the next day. He didn't want to go back to his house, and my parents didn't mind him crashing in the guest bedroom. While we had breakfast, my dad came out of his office, smiling from ear to ear.
Some kids got busted throwing a huge party in my warehouse. Now some millennials want to turn it into a club. I sold it.
he exclaimed. I congratulated my old man, and was kind of proud that I helped somehow. Only downside was, now I would have to look through his files to find someplace else to throw my parties. 'Cause my classmates were not nearly done partying. Even the ones that got arrested wanted more. I was amazed at the effect I had on these kids. Now it wasn't me disturbing class, it was them. They got busted for doing graffiti on the school walls, for clogging toilets on purpose, and for releasing the frogs we were gonna dissect all over the classroom. They were vandals. Thankfully, they were vandals who were sort of flunking school, so in the end, things worked out in my favor and I didn't get kicked out of school. Was it all worth the trouble? Maybe. It definitely made school a lot more interesting. I followed the line of kids piling into the school hall. It was the end of year assembly and the whole school was gathered to hear their academic achievements. I took a seat at the back of the room, trying to look inconspicuous. There was a buzz in the room as everyone chatted away nervously. I was also nervous, but not for the reason you might think. I was probably the only person in that room who was dreading hearing their results. As the principal started calling out people's names one by one, there were shouts of joy as people went up to collect their awards.
Let's pause it again. And yeah, head to bed in my car. Go to the motel down here. Fuck, I can't speak today. Here we are at the fucking motel, dude. I'm the boss here, so I can have any free rooms what I want. Let's stay in this room here. Let's head to bed. 7 in the fucking morning, dog. Let's unlock this, let's have a joint. Let's head out. Let's go chill in my corner, cunt. Yeah, buddy, let's go chill in my corner. Yeah, buddy. Let's go chill here, cunt. At the gun store. On this block. Pretty much.
My hand and dragged me deeper and deeper into the ocean. When it let go, I looked around. There were 3 huge octopuses just staring at me. This is gonna sound weird, but I assure you it's 100% true.
Hi!
One of them said.
Sure.
You can talk? I answered, surprised that I could speak too. And I could breathe.
Yes. Anyway, nice to meet you. My name is Frederick. What were you all doing on that big fish up there?
It's not a fish. It's a boat. And how did you end up with such a human name?
My dad named me that. Well, I'm going to bite your head now.
He said. And then the thing bit me on the head. I didn't even know octopuses could bite. But then again, I was 6. I didn't exactly know much. Ouch! What did you do that for?
You'll see.
Then I felt something else grabbing me and pulling me to the shore. What was this? Was I dreaming?
Addison! Addison!
Yeah.
I heard my dad scream. I opened my eyes and
I know it. It was a
wet.
just. I was gonna say it was
You were
a
down there for a really
dream.
long time. When I finally found you, you were just staring at some seaweed. Why?
I wasn't staring at seaweed. There were these 3 octopuses and one of them was talking to me. Then one of them bit me on the head.
Yes.
Nah, it's a dream.
Clearly you're not okay. We'll go home and take you to the hospital tomorrow.
Suddenly I remembered the pain and I started crying. But my tears didn't feel like they usually did. They were really cold and heavy. And then I heard it. Clink, clink, clink. I looked around and I saw little gold coins.
You're crying money, Addison.
My mom screamed.
But how is this possible? This isn't normal. What's going on?
My dad said. My brother was jumping up and down. It was just total chaos. I pinched myself many times hoping to wake up from this weird dream, but there was no hope. It was all real. My mom got her handbag and started filling it up with the coins. I continued crying because I was really confused about what was happening to me. When I got home, my parents were really nice to me. After I got cleaned up, they wrapped me up in blankets and made me my favorite hot chocolate with lots of marshmallows. I remember falling asleep feeling really safe and secure, but that feeling didn't last very long. The next morning, I rolled over in bed and I opened my eyes. My mom was putting all of my favorite stuffed animals in a garbage bag. Mom, stop! What are you doing?
I'm going to set them on fire.
No! I screamed and then I started crying. And of course, I was still crying money instead of tears. I can't even begin to explain how uncomfortable that was.
Hey, honey, she's still crying money.
My mom shouted and my dad came in with a bag to collect the coins. At that point, I realized that my parents were making me cry on purpose. So, of course, that made me cry even more. Why would they do that to me? My own parents.
Okay, you can stop now. You have to get ready for school.
I went to school angrier than I'd ever been in my life, and I came home even more miserable. I went up to my room to play with my hamster Buttercup, but his cage was open and he wasn't there. Mom? Dad? Where's Buttercup? I shouted. My mom came straight up to my room.
Well, the neighbor's cat came wandering in here earlier, so I decided to give her a snack.
You fed Buttercup to the neighbor's cat? I felt heartbroken. I loved that hamster more than anything else in the world. I cried so much I felt like I could never stop. And both my mom and dad came to collect the money again. My parents would do horrible stuff like this to me at least twice a week. Eventually, I reached a point where I'd been so hurt by them that it's really hard for me to feel emotions and even harder for me to cry. In the past, they'd grounded me for no reason, forgotten my birthday, given me no Christmas presents, and they always fed me the most disgusting food ever. Like, can you imagine being forced to eat 2-week-old food? When I refused it, I'd become so hungry that, yep, you guessed it, I'd start crying. There was nothing my awful parents wouldn't do. There's even a time my mom came to my school dressed in a hideous outfit just to embarrass me. I had to wait until we got back to the car to start crying. And, of course, my parents were becoming richer and richer. But they'd only spend that money on themselves. My dad bought 2 new expensive cars, and my mom had all the latest designer outfits, bags, and shoes. My brother got lots of presents too. They were flaunting their money so much that all of their friends thought they'd received promotions. And you know what? They bought me nothing. It was so unfair. So, when I turned 13, I decided to put my foot down. You all bought me nothing for my birthday again.
It's because you're a lousy daughter.
Do you think that's going to make me cry? Because it isn't. I'm gonna report you to the police.
What are they gonna do? Believe that you cry money? And even if you provided it to them, they'd want to take you away to a lab and study you. You'd be locked up in a little room all alone for the rest of your life. You have no choice but to stay here.
I realized that what she was saying was true. If anyone knew about my strange disorder, I'd be done for. I definitely didn't want to become anyone's lab rat. But you know what? I didn't cry. So they tried something new. You'll never believe what they did, but a few days later, they had a new strategy.
Addie, we've created a new chore for you. You have to peel all these onions we bought, and after that, we'll allow you to have some food.
It was already late and I was starving because I hadn't eaten since breakfast. Are you guys serious? My mom and dad just smiled. I got to work and, of course, my tears of money fell to the floor. I peeled about 100 onions and I made them a fortune. They made me do this every single day. And then they'd sell the chopped onions to restaurants for a really cheap price. These people thought they were getting a good deal, but the truth is, my parents had already made their fortune from my tears. But how could I put an end to all of this? I decided I'd need to try to find that strange octopus again. It was a scary idea, but I finally developed enough courage to make a plan. I was gonna sneak out at night, go to the harbor, and steal a little boat. I'd try to remember the spot where I fell into the ocean when I was a little girl, and then I'd dive in and ask the creature to take the strange powers back. And then the night arrived and I got to work. I waited until everyone at home was asleep, and then I walked to the harbor. The place was isolated, so all I had to do was find a boat. I settled on a little dinghy because, well, to be honest, I had no idea how to sail or operate a boat. I got in, tied it, turned on the engine, and sped away. When I think back to this night, I ask myself if I was crazy because I took nothing with me. Not even a backpack with some snacks and water. I was just determined to get rid of this crazy problem, which was causing my parents hungry and thirsty. And it wasn't like I could just drink the seawater. Eventually, I just fell asleep again because I had no idea what else to do. I woke up to someone shaking me. I opened my eyes. It was a kind old man with a white beard and a mustache.
Little girl, are you okay?
I'm not a little girl, I'm 13.
You're a little girl. What are you doing out here? Where are your parents?
I don't have any parents. I'm an orphan. I lied. I looked around. I was on a much bigger boat and there were other people on board,
Well, okay. We'll take you back to shore.
he said. In about an hour, we reached the shore of what seemed to be like an island. It didn't look like the harbor I'd left at all. I looked at the people on the shore and they all looked different from me. Where am I?
You're in Tuvalu.
He smiled. Wow, I can't believe the boat drifted this far, I thought.
I'll take you to my daughter's house. She has 2 other children, but I'm sure she won't mind helping one more.
He said. He took me to a house near the beach. It was much smaller than the house I lived in with my parents, but at that point, I'd made the decision to continue lying so I never had to go back to my parents.
Iwalani, my dear daughter. We brought home a guest. Her name is...
He looked at me.
I don't even know your name.
It's Daphne, I lied. A beautiful woman with long, beautiful hair which was nearly touching the ground opened the door.
Hello, Daphne. Come in. Sit down. I'll make you something to eat.
The old man went into the kitchen with her as she was cooking, and I heard him telling her all about how he found me. She brought me some delicious food, and I ate it all up like I'd never seen food before.
So, Daphne,
She said,
should we try to get you home and find your family?
I have no family. We're the cutest ever. One of them immediately held my hands and asked me to follow her to the beach. Now I spend most of my life on the beach with my new family. Of course, I have to go to school and do all of that regular stuff too, but this new identity is so much better for my mental health. Sometimes I do think about how difficult my life was and how horrible my parents were. And when I do, I end up crying. But I do it late at night on the dining table when everyone's asleep. So when Iwalani wakes up, she finds a pile of money on the table. It's helped with the family's finances a lot, and the best thing is, nobody knows where it came from. I'm just happy I have my freedom and that I'm not forced to do anything anymore. I'm not sure if my parents have been trying to look for me, but honestly, I don't care. I feel safe here, and no one will take this feeling away from me. Also, I dyed my hair and I got a few piercings, so they'll never recognize me anyway.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a celebrity kid? You might think it's so glamorous and fun, but you're wrong. I'm about to explain how it isn't all that. See, both my mom and my dad are famous movie stars. My dad is also in the music industry, so that's double the fame. By the way, I've changed my name and the name of everyone involved because I can't just reveal my family's secrets without getting into trouble. Before I continue, please consider liking my video and subscribing to this channel. Hit the notification bell to make sure you never miss out on another great story. When I was born, everyone was talking about me. I already
Let's have another join.
But when my mom got pregnant again with me, she was on the news, in all kinds of magazines, and she was even invited to a talk show. My baby pictures were everywhere, and now that I'm older, I really have a problem with that. I mean, have you ever heard about consent? But that comes with the fame. You don't really have much control over anything you do with your own life. So I was used to going to movie sets and everyone treating me like a little princess. I met loads of celebrities, but I didn't really feel the thrill that ordinary people feel when they meet famous people. To me, they were just average men and women with jobs just like my mom and dad. When I was very little, my parents were able to balance their careers and spending time with me. I don't remember feeling unloved or rejected. My dad would always tickle me, tell me jokes, and spin me around the room. My mom did typical mom things like play dolls with me and show me how to bake cakes. I started to feel them growing distant from me when I was about 5 years old.
Natasha, honey, we're hiring a nice nanny to take care of you and your brother. Her name is Christina, and she's really nice.
What's a nanny? Why do I need someone to take care of me? Where will you be?
Well, Mommy and I got some more great deals, and we'll have to be on set almost all day. We can't stay at home with you anymore.
I never